Well, thanks very much for inviting me, and thank you, Luke, for stealing already one of my prime examples. It's lovely to be here at the British Embassy, and it actually reminds me of a meeting we did at Orange many years ago when mobiles were just taking off. The normal introduction should be, here, please don't turn your phones off, and please do tweet and be part of it. So I started all about the idea about 7 years ago, and the key thing that we really focus on, not surprisingly, is ideas, and big ideas, business building ideas. And one of the things that I want to talk about is how social needs to have quality content, and you've got to bring that in to make it happen. And today we're going to talk about it, winning it through being opportunistic. So what's being opportunistic? Well, for me, it's looking around, seeing what's going on, and taking those opportunities that are given to you. So for instance, today when we're told we need some signage, rather than just doing a pop-up, we thought we'd look at this beautiful building, see what's here, and hopefully the ambassador will know that the paintings and the graffiti downstairs are actually ours, not his. And we felt that would play part of it. So, people here, do you feel you're opportunistic? Anybody opportunistic at all? There's an opportunistic man, I like it. So, we sit here in the heart of Europe, and I think one thing that defines any nation is its currency. This is the 20 euro note, and whoever wants to come up here and take it can have it. And there's an opportunity. And you've taken it, and he's closer. Only 2 of you flinched. Nobody else moved. So, if I was to say I had 50 euros, would some of you be thinking about getting it? Unfortunately, I don't have 50 euros. However, there's little blue envelopes that might have something in, or they might not. But everybody else, how do you feel about not getting that 20 euros? He's going to go down the bar and have a few drinks later. Would you have liked that?
I know him, he's not going to spend the money.
And I think this is the problem with opportunities. So many of them are missed every single day. There are millions of opportunities out there. Things are happening, but especially in the world of social media, things move really, really fast. It's a 24/7 world, and if you're 2 hours late, you're gone. And I think, the Super Bowl was something I was going to talk about because they made that happen very quickly. And going to your point about what the ROI on that was, people actually felt that the power of communication and brand knowledge and the positive messaging around that tweet was significantly greater than the paid-for advert that they did in the breaks. And they spent millions and millions of dollars on their advertising, but what people talk about is their tweet. Now, personally, I think the content was frankly quite weak. It's, that you can dunk in the dark. So what? There's a picture that's very on brand that they just chucked a couple of extra words on. But that was retweeted 10,000 times in the first hour, and then became a global news story. And I think one of the things about being opportunistic is about connecting with what's on the news agenda. And I think that's really very important. So, what I'd like to talk about is planning, and planning not to plan. So what does that mean? Well, we all have our plans in marketing. You're looking at what you want to do, what you should be doing, and how you're going to do it. But something is always going to turn up. And how are we, as marketers, as brand owners, as social media specialists, going to take advantage of something when it pops up and it's there for us to do? And I think the first key thing about this is you've got to get your systems right. Now, if you're a little one-man band, a small company, or an individual, it's super easy. You do whatever you want. You just go, I'm going to do this, and you hit send. However, as the brands get bigger, it gets much harder to do that. And one of the key things is sign-off. And in the Oreos example, the reason that they could do that so quickly, and the reason that people were excited about it, is that they had a team. And the team was right there, and they were waiting for something to happen. They didn't know what was going to happen, but they were waiting. And they had that ready to go. Another thing that you sort of need to keep at the back of your mind is not everything's free. It's a great point. Social used to be considered totally free. Why would we spend on it? But if you want to be opportunistic, you need to plan for that, and you might have to keep something in your SWATU budget. That stands for something will always turn up, and it normally upsets my accounts team when I leave at least 30% of my revenue in that. But you've got to think about what's going to be there, and you've got to know that when something happens, you've got the big red telephone that you can pick up that you can get some artwork done quickly, that you can get it signed off super quick. You've got a bit of money if you need it to make something happen, and you can actually win it. Something I did recently for HTC, the handset manufacturers, they were looking at connecting more with a young music audience, who are a very traditionally hard to reach audience. Their YouTube channel was doing pretty atrociously. The number of hits on quite decent content was very low. And we had an opportunity. Rock band we represent, we're at the Hammersmith Apollo that night. And I was doing a similar talk to this, and I said, look guys, we need to make more opportunities come to life. Who here is going to put 2 phones on a bike to the Apollo right now? And we'll make a film out of this, we'll do a behind the scenes cut, and we'll get it up in the next day or so. One of the guys picks up his mobile, the phones go over, we make it, and we get 40,000 hits. Totally organic, not paid for at all, totally organic content within the first couple of weeks of it being up. And that was a huge cut through for them. It was a massive difference between them trying to create all this content that was going nowhere and actually going, well, if we've got the right messages at the right time, with the right people, we can actually do something quite good here. I think one of the other things that we also have to think about is that whilst you have the unexpected, you have the sort of slightly less unexpected. It's not out of the blue, it's sort of more out of the turquoise. And this is things that you know might happen. The seasons will always come and go. There will always be key sporting events. Royal babies are quite popular at the moment, but lots of things might happen. We're doing a piece of work for a client at the moment that's based around snow. Now, it's not snowing now, it might not snow next month, but at some point this winter, there'll be a big snowfall, and we've got this fantastic story, this great activation, and it's already just waiting for the flakes to fall and us to really push further on that. And I think tennis players are a great example of this. If you're a top tennis player and you try and hit the ball when it gets to you, it's gone, you're too late. You've actually got to be planning ahead to hope what's going to happen. And you've got to really interact this with your brand. There's no point going, oh, this would be good, but it's totally wrong for you. And actually the royal baby, Prince George, a very good example of that there was a huge amount of noise with absolutely any and every brand just trying to hashtag his name on in the hope that that would drive them forward on Twitter or Facebook or whatever they were trying to push with. And it didn't work for pretty much everybody. So I think it's very important that you concentrate on what you do, what your brand represents, and that you really live the brand on that. So all about relevancy. One of the things that we always do when we start thinking about big ideas is, who's my audience, what do I want them to feel, and what does success look like? And I think this is something that needs to be applied to social more. A lot of the key marketing principles do apply, and if you want to make sure that you're really interacting with that, you need to do that. Again, what does success look like? What is the ROI going to be for this project? Are we looking to actually turn this into sales? There's also a large crisis piece out there of stopping major problems, and you can do all sorts of different things that are very valuable. But if you don't know at the beginning what you're really trying to achieve, then it's highly unlikely you're ever going to do it. I want to sort of finish with a 3-step plan to being opportunistic. And this is by no means exhaustive in any way, but I think it's sort of how we like to look at these. The first thing that you have to do is you have to actually want to be opportunistic. It doesn't work if only 2 people in the room are getting up. You need, as a company or a brand or an institution, whatever you are, to decide that being opportunistic is going to be part of the way that you do things. To actually go out and set up the systems required, ensure you have the budget laid back, ensure you have the commitment and buy-in the whole way through the brand to make sure that you can do this. And you need to keep doing it. I mean, there is nothing worse than someone who starts a Twitter account, tweets 50 times and stops. They're actually better off not having one. I think you've got to really do it and live it. The second one is plan, and plan not to plan, to make sure that the systems that you put in place are good. It needs to be solid, it needs to be robust, it needs to work if somebody's gone on holiday, because the whole idea about planning not to plan is you don't know when it's going to turn up. although sometimes you might have a little inkling. But if someone is key to the entire process, there needs to be a second stream. And the third and final one for me is you must always live the brand. You must be very true to who you are and what you do, because social is a conversation, and there's no point standing there trying to talk with somebody else's voice. It needs to reflect the personality of the brand, it needs to reflect how you want to interact with people, and you need to be true to it and to be able to reply to others when they question you about it. So hopefully, as a result of this, you'll think about grasping that nettle and carpe diem and looking out for the things that do jump up for you, but also thinking about planning ahead to think if there's anything relevant for you that might come to life. And it might be a big sporting competition. If someone does something extraordinary or record-breaking, that really fits in well with you. And so maybe it's that. It might be that spring is a key moment for you, representing a new life and vibrancy and colour. But you need to look into that yourself. And on my final word, it's a bit like the taxi joke. The thing you think about in the taxi on the way home. That's too late. You've missed the opportunity for that joke. You've got to make sure that you grab it and you grab it fast, because the £20 notes don't get given out every day, and you've got to make sure that you get your one. Thanks very much.